So this new next technique is going to be a positive visualization technique, and what it hopefully will do will help you develop a stronger level of self-efficacy. So that's basically your perception of your ability to handle a situation. So it's called the warrior technique, and it's positive visualization. So if you want to, you can close your eyes and just listen to what I have to say, or you can keep them partially open or open. It's completely up to you. So it starts off that I'll just say, just imagine a warrior. So what does that mean to you? What do they look like? Are they male? Are they female? Are they big or small, tall or short? How are they dressed? How do they stand? Do they look mean or happy? How do they talk? How would they interact with other people? Would other people be scared of them? Would they be respected? How would they walk? How would they stand? It's just some in your mind exactly how they appear. So how do you know that they're a warrior? What are their characteristics? Do you think they'd be confident? Do you think they'd be shy? Do you think they'd have a lot of energy? Are they intelligent or intellectual? All these things, just think about what this warrior means to you. Now the next part of this now is just to think about if they were normalized. And what I mean by normalized is if you put them in civilian clothing, would you still know that they're a warrior? Would they look still like a warrior in civilian clothing? Would they still talk in the same way? Would they still walk in the same way? Or move? Would they still exude an air of confidence? How would they interact with people? How would people interact with them? So if they were walking down the street in civilian clothing, would you still know that they were a warrior just by the look of them? Would you, from the way that they walk and move, would you know that they were confident? And if so, how would you know? Would you tell at a simple glance if they were in disguise? Do you think people would respect them just because they've changed their outfit? What sort of physical attributes would that sort of warrior have in civilian clothing? And when they entered a room, again in civilian clothing, would you notice them? Would they still exude that sort of level of warrior sort of confidence? So just think about this warrior now, dressed in civilian clothing, maybe accompany you for a day, whether it's in work or in school or just as a friend. How do you think people would react to you when you have this warrior next to you? So if you're walking down the street, would people come up and want to talk to you, the warrior? How would they interact with you as a friend of that warrior's? If you were with them in school or in work, how would they interact with you? How would people act differently knowing that you know this warrior? Would people change the way that they're respectful to you? Would their attitudes change to you? So it would almost be like having a bodyguard for the day. Would people be more inclined to make chit-chat with you, or small talk? Would people then start to be nice to you because you know this warrior? Would they react differently to you? Would they be less aggressive, more nasty, less nasty, happier, less happier? Or how do you think that they would interact with you? As if they knew that this warrior was there to protect you and also to fight battles for you? How do you think they'd express things in words to you? Do you think this would be helpful or a hindrance? So what benefits do you think that you could get from having this warrior with you for the day? So just thinking about all those sort of benefits that you could have from that, I'm just wondering what would happen if you didn't have that sort of warrior for the day, but you managed to step into that warrior and be that warrior for the day. I'm just wondering if it was you walking down the streets or you as the warrior dressed in civilian clothing. How would you be noticed then? Would people talk to you differently? Would they interact with you differently? Do you think they'd be scared? Do you think they'd be respectful? Do you think they'd shy away from you? How would that feel? What would the confidence be like? Do you think that if you were that warrior for the day, do you think you'd be able to achieve things differently? If so, how would you achieve them differently? Do you think being that warrior you'd back away from taking those little chances on things? When people talk to you, and you talked as the warrior, do you think you'd say things differently? Would you think you'd be more confident when you talk to people? So just think about that if you stepped into that warrior. So how would you stand? How would you talk? How would you walk? How would you sit? How would you interact with others? Do you feel strong? Do you feel decisive? Can you make those decisions that you may have dithered about before? Do you feel that you've got a lot more energy? Do you feel that you treat people differently as that warrior? Do you notice a difference in you? Do you see the difference in others? So just imagine if you could do that anytime you wanted to. How would your life change? What things would you do? So if in your own time you can either open your eyes, partly open your eyes, or just think about the things that we've covered here. And also just think about if you ever needed or wanted to access those attributes, you could just simply imagine stepping into that sort of warrior that you designed. And maybe practice that just once or twice a week. So you can go through this exercise again, but just notice if there's any attributes that you enjoyed being that warrior. Maybe bring those with you, and maybe to use those on a day-to-day basis.